Why would you bring up your ex like when you're on a date with somebody new?
The first date.
I mean, I guess sometimes you might not be able to control your
But
emotions.
sometimes I
I
think
don't
you
know.
just slip, right?
Yeah.
Like something just like reminded you of your.
Oh, my ex and I used to come here. Oh, thanks. It's like, to this exact restaurant, sitting exactly where you're sitting. It's like, dude, how would the other person feel?
I mean, if they have a sense of humor, then
Yeah.
maybe. But I'm talking more like deep, like, oh, I was sitting here when my ex broke up with me, and
God.
like, just like
Unloading all the baggage on you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a bit much on a first date.
Yeah. So you think that's part of like good etiquette is just don't talk about past relationships, especially not maybe on the first date.
Yeah. Welcome to the Magnetic Mismatch Show. This is Linda.
And this is Will. And you look freaking comfortable. Look at those socks. Look at the mug. Look at the way you're sitting in the little sweater. Is that a turtleneck or no?
Yeah.
Mini turtleneck?
I was actually just bundling up this morning, watching a Netflix show.
Yeah. You didn't want to get out of bed, did you?
No, I was watching Imposter.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
And you were mad at me that I didn't tell you about it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you about it because I had watched that show and I finished both seasons. And I was excited for season 3, but of course,
the show got canceled.
And I hate starting like a show. And even though there's a lot of shows that people tell me about that are like really good, right? If it's only one season or like 2 seasons and then you're left hanging and they cancel the show.
I feel like the ending, it's somewhat of a closure.
Wait. You finished already?
Yeah.
Both seasons?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I don't remember the show that much anymore.
I think there's like a slight cliffhanger. But even if the fact that the show ended, I'm like, yeah, I could see that ending.
Okay. See, I'm okay with that. But there are definitely shows like Firefly. You probably never heard of it. It's like a sci-fi show, but it was so good. I love that show. And yet it was left hanging. And what happened was like the fans were so mad that they petitioned for them to bring the show back.
Did it happen?
They didn't bring the TV show back. If I recall correctly, they ended up doing a movie instead to give like closure to people. Because it is kind of messed up. You fall in love with the show. You invest so much time and whatnot into it. And then you are left hanging by the showrunners. It's like maybe, and it's not even up to them.
There's some shows that I feel like I just wish they would do like a movie to give us closure.
That's what I'm saying.
Or like what happened to these characters
afterwards. I think that's just the right thing to do. All right, damn it. We're like sounding like fanatics now, But when you enjoy something so much, you do get excited and passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, on to our topic. What's our topic today?
Dating etiquette.
Dating etiquette. Wait, what? Isn't it just like Huh?
I mean,
I didn't know there was a whole like etiquette to it.
I mean, I don't think anything is written in stone or anything.
Nothing formal, right?
No, nothing formal. I think it's just like unspoken rule on just being a decent human being when you go on these dates.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that is probably maybe frowned upon, or like you wouldn't act a certain way or do certain things to people that you wouldn't want done to you. For example, like ghosting somebody on a date. You don't know anything about that, do you?
Oh no.
You're gonna have to tell the audience your story, because when you told me this off the podcast, I was laughing. I'm like, you would do something like that, and you judge me for ghosting somebody.
Okay, normally ghosting is not okay, right? I think it's it's just a decent etiquette to let the person know that, hey, it's not going well, and I choose to end the date, right? That's fine.
Because ghosting, for maybe people that aren't familiar with the term, is what? Like you just leave, right? Without saying anything.
Without saying anything, and the person doesn't know that you've left, so they just basically sit and wait for you.
And this is something, by the way, that happened before ghosting was like a thing.
Yeah.
Now, because nowadays you hear more about people doing that, which I don't really agree with necessarily.
And I think it's like everything.
It
right?
is situational.
It's situational
Sure.
based. And
so what happened?
And let me just do a disclaimer. Whatever we say in this podcast or in this episode, it's just our opinion,
our perspective, and yep.
Yeah, but I'm gonna just sit here and defend myself, and I think the listeners would agree that what I did was right.
Okay. I'm gonna see what you do.
Okay.
So tell us a little more.
Okay, so I was fairly young still. I think I was like 18. It's a long time ago. I don't remember my exact age, but I was kind of chatting with this guy on AIM. And it was normal back then to, go into like chat rooms, with different friends and acquaintances, right? You just kind of form this room and then you can take the chat room like to a personal room and just chat.
So this was before like
texting
was as popular,
or dating
or
apps,
social media, like with direct messaging. So this was America Online. Man, it's even just saying that, it's like I feel old, right?
I don't even know what it.
America Online Instant Messaging. That's what AIM stand for, and that was the popular chat app. But yes, go ahead.
Yes.
So you were talking to this stranger?
Yeah, he's a stranger, but I knew someone that knows. Well, I knew an acquaintance. An acquaintance of mine knew who he was.
So an acquaintance of an acquaintance?
Yeah, basically. But so I figured, if that's the case, they're not gonna kidnap me, right?
Wait, question. So how did you even get that person's screen name or contact info?
I have no idea. It's like all of a blur at this moment. Like,
because I'm curious, like if you reached out to him or did he reach out to you?
I'm pretty sure what had happened was, you know how like sometimes you end up into like multiple chat rooms?
Yes.
And there's people you don't know in the chat room. I'm pretty sure that happened, and we probably started chatting.
That makes a lot more sense.
We took it offline.
I see.
I mean, off the chat room
into a private messaging.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's normal, right?
Yeah, that's what people did back then.
And people found friends on AIM too. There's like ways where you can just chat with random people or looking for a friend. Or
absolutely.
Yeah,
it was super addicting back then. But yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So we were chatting for a while, and for a good while. I mean, seems like funny dude, right? And then he asked me to go on a date. And I was like, oh, I don't, I was like hesitant because I'm like, I don't know you. I kind of don't want to get kidnapped. That's not my thing.
Yeah. And back then, like, because the internet was still relatively new, that was kind of scary. You're chatting online virtually. You're getting to know somebody, and like it sounds like you were talking to this person for a little while, and now they want to meet in person in real life, right? Yeah, and now it's like,
scary, right? So I was like, I'm like, how about we go on a double date? That was my suggestion. Smart. That way I have someone, and then they have someone, so in case they want to, I don't know, kidnap me,
just extra
layer of protection. So and I picked a very public place. I picked the movie theater, Burbank movie theater, and we met up there.
And so you and your friend were supposed to meet him and his friend at the movie theater.
Yeah. Got it. Exactly. I showed up to the date, and I was like, wait a minute. I felt like I've been catfished because this dude that showed up was at least twice the age he said he was.
Oh, no.
Okay, he looked like he was in his 40s.
Oh, man.
Which is not cool because that's not what I signed up for.
That's not what he told you.
No.
What did he say he was?
He said he was like 20 age? Or something.
Oh, like maybe a little bit slightly older than you?
Yeah, a couple years older. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I signed up for. And here this creepy man like staring at me. I'm like, oh God. Okay, so I played it cool. I said hi.
Wait, did you see a photo of this guy then before the meetup?
Yeah, but that did not look like him.
So he looked completely different.
Number one, the photo did not look like him. Number two, there's an age issue now that, okay,
He's just trying to play it off. Like, yeah, I'm really actually only 20 years old.
Okay, I have no problem with dating older or anyone or, age.
It wasn't the age issue.
It wasn't the age issue. It took me by surprise because I felt like I was I was literally being lied to and deceived, right? Like
right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go. So now I'm freaked out inside because I'm like, who is this person?
That's so awkward.
Think about it, right? It caught me off guard and I was upset already because I'm like, wait, I wasted my time chatting with someone who already started lying. Ooh. So I'm like, first of all, that's not a good look. And second of all, now I'm scared because I'm like, wait, this guy may not even be safe.
Oh man, if he lied about that, what else is he lying about? Was any of what we had like even real? Like I'm sure some of that was going through your mind.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, here I am still like 18, a teen, mm-hmm. and this like 40-year-old looking guy is like trying to, come at me. And I'm like, wait, this is creeper status. But you know what? I was smart. I played it cool. I didn't want to like just bail on the date then because I'm like, he could follow us to our car, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I was like, yeah, I smiled. Hi, how are you? Bought the tickets, went into the theater. Oh, we even got snacks, right? Because I'm like, okay, I need to buy time and make it look as natural as possible.
This is hilarious to me. Like, if I'm just when you told me about this, I was just like, what is this? And this guy and like people like him when they catfish, what are they gonna expect the people's responses to be when they actually meet in person?
Well, you're gonna expect me to show up on the date and be like, oh, that's cool that you lied. Yeah, ha, you don't look like the photo.
Or are they like really in their mind like thinking that when they see somebody in person,
better.
Like,
you're even better than.
Or it's just like they like, do you really believe that person is that gullible? Like that they won't even say anything or like know that, hey, you're actually completely different from what you portrayed yourself to be.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not whatever, right? If somebody changed over time, and maybe that could be it. I don't know. But to be that far off, it just tells you that they were deceiving you.
If they sent me a photo from like, a couple years ago, it's because, I get it. Yeah. Some people don't like taking photos. That's fine. Or they gained some weight or they lost it, whatever it is, right?
Right.
I think it's the intent.
Yeah.
The intent, what his intention was definitely not good because to lie about your age and to send a picture of like, I don't know, probably not even him.
Yeah.
The intent is not good.
Yeah. Because I could see somebody like, maybe if let's say they gained a little weight or they got a little bit older and they want to, they're chatting with somebody and for a potential date or whatever, they might want to portray themselves in the best light. Or like, so they're going to show a good photo, right? You wouldn't send somebody a bad photo of yourself.
Yeah. Or like, that's like the last like professional photo they took.
Yeah. So I could see that.
That's fine.
Maybe a heads up, then say, hey, this is an older photo.
Yeah.
Do you think that? No, but you say that though on a.
I think it's just like the intent.
Yeah,
right?
I see.
If there's no malicious or like intent to
deceive somebody,
then I think it's fine.
Because I'm just curious, like I wonder if it's just him, like maybe he just let himself go. But to the way you're describing it, it's like this isn't even him at all.
Yeah.
Like there's no resemblance. Like the age is completely different. His face is probably, I'm assuming, different from what the photo looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways,
so
this is hilarious to me.
Yeah. So we went on the date.
You got the food, right? The concessions.
And then we went inside. We sat down. I think we watched like a couple of like
those trailers.
The trailers.
Did it start or was it like those little like teasers in the beginning?
Yeah, the teasers. It didn't start yet.
Okay.
So then I'm like, oh, I looked over to my friend. I'm like, hey, let's go to the bathroom before the movie starts.
Girl code,
right?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, of course. Let's go to the bathroom. We went into the bathroom. We were dying of laughter. We were like, what just happened? This is not what I signed up for. So we literally just bolted and we started running to our car.
Oh, man. So you left them? You guys didn't even say anything?
No.
Did they text you? Did they call you? Aim you?
Yeah, later on, but I blocked everything. And I found out.
Wait, I'm curious. Do you remember what his message was? Like when he sent it to you?
It's been so long.
WTF or what the hell? Like angry?
I have no idea.
But you just blocked them and so you ghosted them.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but at that moment, I felt like that's the safest thing to do. Versus me ending the date immediately up front because I'm like, okay, they could follow us to the car.
So you didn't feel safe is what you're saying. That's why you did that. It wasn't like, haha, I'm trying to be a jerk or like, be mean or anything to them.
No.
I see.
So, I get the nervous laugh, right? Like when I'm nervous or in a situation I'm uncomfortable with, it's like
you try to laugh it off.
Yeah, and my girlfriend and I were like, what is going on? So we decided, and even she was like, he does not look 20. Like, this is kind of creepy. So we had a conversation in the bathroom, and then, we literally, so we looked out and we didn't see anyone. So we started running through like they have the side door exit.
Yeah.
We ran through there and then we went to our car and we left.
Damn.
And you know what? I found out later on from, I decided to ask the acquaintance, like, hey, what's up with your friends? Like I told them what happened, and then he started laughing. He was like, okay, the guy is like not 20. He's like probably close to his 40, like in his late 30s.
So you guessed it right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
That's not cool.
That is not cool.
Yeah. I mean, if he was upfront about it, then at least you're not, somebody doesn't have the wrong expectation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And at least I had a choice to go on the date or not.
Yeah. You ghosted somebody. You just have poor etiquette. You're just rude.
I'm just rude.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I guess that's what you were trying to say.
Don't you dare sit on your high horse. You ghosted someone too.
Yes. I shared a story on another podcast episode of ours where I talked about a date that I was on with a girl. This was in college, and I ghosted this girl because she was being super rude to like the servers and just like very like, I don't know, entitled, because she was trying to order something and she started snapping her finger like this, like, hey, come here kind of thing, right?
Oh
like not
God.
To get their attention. Like the person was right there, but she treated him like almost like I don't know, like lower and less than her kind of thing, right? And that she was doing that the whole like time that we were there, and we had just gotten there, And so I just kind of was like, oh, that was a big turnoff for me, because I'm like, I don't like people that are so disrespectful or rude to other people, because to me it says a lot about that person's character, right? And maybe it was just her being young or whatever, right? But I ended up saying the bathroom excuse is the best excuse, right? And I just I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Well, we didn't order yet, so I didn't feel too bad about leaving, but I ended up ghosting her. And of course, she was later on confused and pissed. So looking back now, more as a more mature adult, I think I could have handled that a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't think I gave her an opportunity, to address how she was behaving, right? Like I didn't have the maturity to think about it that way back then. But at the same time, I felt like, I don't know, at the moment I was like, see, I did the right thing kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it felt good. See, take that, I'll teach her a lesson. But in reality, it was like, she was probably sitting there confused, like, what the heck, dude? She probably thought I was the rude one, like this guy didn't even say anything. He just bounced,
But see, that's not fair. Maybe she didn't know that was rude.
But that's what I'm saying. She didn't know that. Maybe that's just what she does, right? Like she snaps her finger at people and tell them and it wasn't just the snapping the finger, right? Like I said, sometimes you might need to get somebody's attention, but I wouldn't ever, I don't know, personally, I wouldn't snap my finger to get somebody's attention.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like even just the way they were talking to them, but I don't want to get into too much detail about it. Anyways,
yeah.
I'm just getting heated again. But I guess the point is, it's like, I think there has to be some level of etiquette just in general. But I think especially when it comes to dating, I do think that there's some things that if you want the date to go well, you probably need to keep certain things in mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you think are some maybe non-negotiables for you? Like, if you're on a date with somebody, let's say we get past the initial stage, they said who they are and they're not somebody completely different.
Well, I think before that too, I think it's important to not constantly reschedule on your dates.
Oh, yes.
Right, because if you reschedule once, fine. You know, if it's a good reason, it's understandable.
What's
but
a good reason though? Like an emergency?
Yeah, like an emergency.
So it shouldn't be like the day of, you don't feel like, because you went out late the night before and...
I can't be like, hey, I'm hungover, can't go on a date with you. You know, that's not cool. But, you know, if something comes up, you reschedule, fine. But
yeah,
if I notice like, hey, this is like the second, third time you're trying to reschedule on me, then it's gonna...
You would give them that many chances? Wow.
Well, it depends. If the first time was a real emergency.
True.
But then there's like two, three emergencies. I'm okay, now I know you're lying to me, right?
I call BS.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then I probably wouldn't even go on the date with you. Just because I can tell that my time is not valuable to you. And it is valuable to me.
Yeah,
so
you don't respect your time.
It ends there immediately.
Got it. Okay, well, let's say we get through that hurdle, okay?
Get through that hurdle.
Yeah.
You go on the first date.
And they're on time or early. They're
on time.
They're not an hour late or anything like that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
So that's good. I think, giving someone your full attention is very important. Like, don't spend the date texting your friends on your phone or social media the whole time. I mean,
it's so rude.
A little bit. Let's say if you want to snap a photo, whatever, then that's fine. You know, it's not too... It's casual, right? That's fine. But
so,
I think...
Side note on that. I actually was on a date in college where that happened. And I got very irritated. And like, when you say give your attention, like, isn't the whole point of you guys meeting up to hang out and to get to know the other person or to like spend that time together, right? This girl, like, she kept literally like was texting in front of my face. And I'm talking to her, sharing a story. Like, I'm like, is it me? Like, am I boring you or something? Like, in my head, right? I didn't say it out loud, but I was getting very irritated because she just kept looking. She wouldn't even look at me. You know, like when you're talking to somebody, you should be making eye contact.
I hate it when they're doing that half text look up or the like this, like the sideways. Oh, that annoys me.
Yeah, or like, but anyways, so she was doing that, and then like when I stopped, and then I guess she noticed, like I stopped talking because I was getting super heated. Mm-hmm. Just like looking at her, I'm like, like in my head, I'm like, that expression is like, are you done? Or like, are you serious right now? Kind of thing. I think she felt that that aura. Yeah. And then she stopped. She's like, oh, sorry. And then she like put her phone on the table, like still next to her. And you could tell like every couple of seconds, it's kind of like it's there, it's tempting her, it's calling her name, and she refuses. She's like looking at it, and then she looks back at me, tries to like.
What's the point of going on a date if you're so attached to your phone? That's what I'm saying, right?
I feel like that's a bigger issue now than ever, and it's not just on dates and stuff. It happens. I see it all the time. You know, with people like, dude, you're there to be with the person in person. Just give them a little bit of that time. Put your damn phone away.
Yeah, just be present for a moment.
Exactly. But yeah, so I agree. Like giving them your full attention. And I think like don't just pretend like you're paying attention either. You know, like just you blankly looking at somebody also doesn't mean you're paying attention.
No.
You know, I think engaging, right? Or at least really listen to what that person is trying to tell you. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's a lot to ask for, you know, on a date. And we're talking specifically in this podcast about dates where you're hoping it leads somewhere into a long-term relationship, right? We're not talking about like casual date or hookups or things like that. Maybe that's a different story.
It's a different thing, I think.
Yeah, like some people might be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we're talking about your intent, hopefully both of you, is you want this to be a relationship.
Or potential. See where it can lead to,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, and I think talking about giving someone your attention, please don't just talk about yourself. Like the whole date. I mean, it's important to chime in and share, but let the other person speak as well.
Yeah, I think sometimes it is easy, and that's something I had to work on with our relationship, where sometimes you might dominate the conversation, and maybe it's not malicious. It's just that's how you operate, and no one's really said anything to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you might not even notice that you're doing that sometimes. I've really had to, over the years, learn how to be a better listener and slow down, because I have all these thoughts, and it's not intentful. Like, I'm not trying to take over the conversation and not allow someone else to speak or express their side. It's just more like you can have a much higher quality conversation when you stop after you've said what you got to say, and then really listen to what the other person says.
Mm-hmm.
Let them finish their thought.
Yeah. And also the other issue is, I hate to say this, but please don't just sit there and stare at your date.
Whatever do you mean?
Chime in, talk, because not talking or saying anything or engaging back into the conversation is also an issue, right? There's a balance, right? You give a little, and then you listen a little, and then you chime in a little. It's kind of
should be a back and forth.
Yeah, it's like a dancing game.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a dance.
It's a dance.
But here's the thing. Here's what I want to ask you, though, because we've talked about this before as well. What if somebody is just shy? What if they're the type like yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You've admitted to this, or you've, I guess, been self-aware enough to see this in yourself, where you are the type where when you are comfortable with those people, or they get to know you a little bit better, you warm right up, right? Mm-hmm. It takes you a little bit of time, though. Initially, you might come off as a little bit cold.
Yeah.
Or a little bit unapproachable.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? What if somebody's just that way, and they're not trying to be rude, but what does that mean from your perspective?
I think awareness is always good, right? I'm aware that I can come off cold. And so I've kind of taught myself little tricks on ways to kind of help me, just to help me enter a conversation at least, or keep the conversation going. And I found that I may not be comfortable, sharing stories about myself, or, just stories in general, but I found a good way to maybe have the other person, or get to know the other person better, is to ask questions about them. And when they give you and when they say something, and you found it interesting, or you kind of catch on to what they like, continue that. Ask more questions on that.
Yeah. I think it's what you said earlier about it being like a dance is very true, because a lot of times it's not equal in the sense of the conversation, right? A lot of times it will be one person maybe leading the conversation a little bit more, at least in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And maybe one person is more outgoing or more extroverted than the other person, or they're more comfortable just speaking with somebody else, right? And let them lead. But as the other person, like you said, maybe if you're not normally comfortable with leading the conversation, you can still ask questions. Just don't be like a wall, like on the date.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it takes the fun out of it too. You know what I mean? And I feel like the other person might take it the wrong way. It's like, wow, this person's kind of rude. I'm like throwing a little softballs at you so that you can like chime back in. You know what I mean? I'm trying to engage you, but if you're not willing to play, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that can be unintentionally, rude from that person.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think?
I think there's a lot of things.
Because we're on the actual date.
We're on the actual date. So usually on a first date, it's you'll probably be having lunch or dinner or coffee.
Sure, like over a meal or drinks.
Yeah, I think just table etiquette is very important.
Okay, expand on that. What do you mean?
Just please don't be snapping your mouth when you're chewing.
When you're chewing, don't open your mouth.
Yeah, don't let food fall out of your mouth. Don't
burp.
Yeah, loudly.
Like imagine you have like beers and stuff, and
yeah, just little things.
I mean, I guess we can't teach you guys that.
Yeah, don't eat off of her plate. Like, oh, that looks amazing. Let me help myself.
Wait, what? Is that a jab at me? Excuse you.
No, I shared my food.
You offered.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's fine.
We're laughing about it because on our first date, like we both ordered entrees, of course, right? And then I finished mine. Mm-hmm. And it was I don't know if it was just because I was nervous, but I was eating fast. I don't know if you noticed that. You're like, dude,
you like inhaled your food.
I inhaled my entree, and then you were just like picking at yours.
Yeah, because I was
the food
nervous.
Not good or okay?
No.
So you had the opposite reaction.
Yeah, I was nervous. So I was just picking at my food. So I looked over and I'm like, oh, you want to try some of my quiche? And I cut you like half of my food and you ate it all.
I inhaled that as well. Yeah. So that's pretty funny. But I didn't. At least I knew better to not go take my fork and just like reach over.
Let me have a stab at your food.
Hey, that looks bomb. Let me try that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, that's true. And I think the other thing with table manners, right? Like just basic etiquette. I would think that, if you're eating food or having a meal with family or friends or anybody else, really, that there's some level of etiquette there, with that regard.
Yeah. And if things don't go your way, it's okay. Just have fun on the date, right? Things are,
it's not so rigid. It's supposed to be fun, right? Like dating and being on dates is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Just don't let little things get to you, right? Like, for example.
Wait, so are you saying that as the person, maybe the person's dating etiquette isn't like all there? Don't let it irk you so much either?
Yeah, or if the date it's not going the way you envisioned it. It's fine. It's not going to be like the movies where everything's going to turn out perfect.
Every moment is perfect.
Yeah, like on the first date. Will was late to the first date, right? And
we were just talking about that, yeah.
And that was okay. Let that slide because it was a good reason, right? You had to go see a client. And then, the fact that you tried to plan the date was very nice. We went to the restaurant. We couldn't find the restaurant because half the restaurant was under construction. So when we got there, the whole first half of the restaurant is just like covered in like plastic.
Oh my God. I was mortified, by the way. When we showed up, like finding parking was a nightmare because this was in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So if you know anything about that area, there is no parking. Usually they have these lots and stuff, but
the lots were full.
So
because it's the weekend.
We had to circle a couple of times, but then thankfully we found the spot. A pretty prime spot.
Yeah.
Right in front. The universe was like, I'm gonna have some mercy on this guy right now.
I'm gonna throw you a bone.
Yeah, because we were already it took us like an hour to get out there because of traffic. Yep. Yeah. So that was already bad. And then we showed up, and then I'm like, you're like, oh, is this the restaurant? And I had never gone there before. A friend actually, she recommended that restaurant to me.
Because they had creme brulee.
And I knew you liked creme brulee. We had talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
On AIM.
Yeah.
But we showed up to the restaurant and I was like, oh, my face was like, all the blood drained out because I'm like, oh crap, is the restaurant closed? Because it looked like it was closed.
Yeah.
Because outside, well, first of all, there was like a glass walls, right? So you're walking on the sidewalk and you can see the restaurant inside. It's like, there's nobody in there. That was already a bad sign. And so we got to the front and thankfully it was open. And so we went inside and I was like, is this door like your busy hour? Is it normally this empty in here or something like that? Right. Mm-hmm. And that's when we saw, oh, we're just having some construction on one side of the restaurant.
Well, you could see the construction.
And damn it, you know what? I should have played it off. I would have been like, see, I rented out this whole space for you. I got this whole restaurant just for our date because we were the only ones there.
I would have laughed at you and be like, oh, you're not that clever.
Clearly, I messed up.
It was good.
But it was a nice date.
The food was good. The creme brulee was delicious. We had a chocolate creme brulee.
Which you never had before.
Which I've never had. And then we've gone to that restaurant. We've gone back.
Yeah.
Still delicious. The good. So, I mean.
Yeah, and I was pretty well-mannered, right? Yeah, table manners were good. I wasn't like doing any of the stuff you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so that's good. And like I said, so our point is if things are not going the way you expected to, in your head, the way you played it out to be, it's okay. Just kind of learn to go with it, laugh with it, and enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts, kind of speaking about our first date? Now it reminded me, like, what are your thoughts on like ordering for somebody else? Like, I know, like, with us, we didn't do that. But, like, what if I was just like, you know what? I grabbed the menu from you. It's like, she'll have...
a salad.
I'll have the steak. What would you have done? Like, do you like that? Like, I know some girls that like that, though. Like, they like, having someone else order for them. But I would say most people I talk to, they prefer choosing on their own.
I think the polite... let's say if...
You find that, like, rude, or is that...
I mean, I wouldn't recommend ordering for someone. I think they should be able to pick, the entree they want to eat. But let's say if you've been to the restaurant before, you can ask, would you like me to recommend you something? Right? Okay. And if they're like, what would you recommend here? And you can give them a couple of options, and then, or, like a general like recommendation. Oh, their beef is really good. I've tried this, and this. Yeah. But I wouldn't just assume that they want me to order for them.
Again, to each their own, right? Like, I know, like I said, I know some people that really enjoy that, and you might be somebody listening that does that for somebody. So we're not saying like that's rude or anything.
But we don't know.
Yes.
That's what they like. So it
might be better to play it safe
or ask, right? Or recommend something.
Got it.
And then
it's a safer, smarter route.
Yeah, and if your date is like, hey, can you just pick something for me? I trust you. I want to try what you like.
Got it.
Then feel free to order for them, but don't just assume that, hey, I'm gonna take over the date and you're gonna eat what I choose for you. Don't do that.
Oh man, that would be pretty funny though.
Yeah.
Like, if damn it, I'm looking back, I'm like, there were so many opportunities to just torture you right from the get-go.
Yeah, you might have not gotten a second date.
She's actually not eating. She's on a diet, and I'll have 2 entrees for myself,
She'll just have that creme brulee.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have even given you that.
Oh, date's over.
Date's over. Bye.
Uber.
There was no Uber back then.
No,
sucker.
Mom, pick me up.
Yeah, and I think what's cool is that on our first date out there, I felt like we had a really good connection. We had a great conversation. Clearly, we spent like all day. Like, I don't remember what time the date started, but like we stayed out pretty late until we both were like, oh crap, it's already like 2 a.m. or whatever it was.
Yeah, because we were hanging out at the beach out there.
And that's when we were like, all right, we probably need to go home.
It started getting dangerous.
Yeah.
That, looking back at it, I'm like, oh, that was not smart.
Yeah. But I think what was good about that conversation, or the conversations that we had that day and during our date, was what made it enjoyable for me was like, I didn't feel like you were interrogating me or trying to like ask me 21 questions. You know what I mean? It was very organic, and it was more like questions when you asked, it was like out of curiosity, out of truly you were interested in trying to like get information to know more about me as a person. You know what I mean? Not like, how many exes do you have? How many people have you dated? Or, like stuff like that. Because that can come off sometimes to people.
Yeah. And I tried to keep the conversation like neutral, lighthearted, and fun, right? I didn't like bring up my past relationship or past boyfriends and start crying about it or anything.
Oh man. Have you ever done that on a date?
No.
Like unintentionally?
No.
No, I haven't either, but I can see somebody maybe if they've gotten out of a relationship
or something that reminded them of. I think it's easy to bring that up.
Yeah, like from I don't know. That's just, why would you bring up your ex like when you're on a date with somebody new?
The first date.
I mean, I guess sometimes you might not be able to control your emotions.
But sometimes I think you just slip, right?
Yeah.
Like something just like reminded you of your...
Oh, my ex and I used to come here. Oh, thanks. It's like, to this exact restaurant, sitting exactly where you're sitting. It's like, dude, how would the other person feel?
I mean, if they have a sense of humor, then maybe. But I'm talking more like deep, like, I was sitting here when my ex broke up with me,
God.
and like, just like
unloading all the baggage on you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a bit much on a first date.
Yeah. So you think that's part of like good etiquette is just don't talk about past relationships, especially not maybe on the first date?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably come up if you guys are more serious at some point. Yeah. If there is that part of your life that you want to share, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you just have to kind of feel the flow of the conversation, right? If the other person is okay to open up and you feel comfortable too, then that's fine.
Yes.
It's not, nothing is really rigid.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends, but to err on the safe side initially, you might not want to jump into something so hot and heavy.
The first conversation you have.
Like as soon as you open your mouth, maybe as the conversation progresses and and the other person is sharing or you're just sharing a lot, then that's fine.
You really you hit it on the head. You have to see where the flow of the conversation. It's kind of like what they say. What's that term? Like read the room. You have to know kind of, is this the right timing to talk about something like this? Or like, let me jump right into politics. So are you a Democrat or Republican? What's your stance on the president? Like it can get just, I don't know, combative. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or religion or like very hot topics, gun control or abortion. Like, you may be tempted or you may be very passionate about those topics, but I don't know. I feel like on a first date or if you're dating with somebody early on, it might come off as a little bit rude to ask those things, especially if the point of the meeting was a date. This is not a freaking debate that you're going to, right? A political debate.
Yeah, you're just you're going on this date to get to know that person.
Right. And to have fun.
Yeah. And to have
I don't know how much fun you're going to have if you're going to be talking about those topics and just getting into a heated argument, or it could turn into a heated argument.
Yeah.
But some people, maybe that's how they connect. Maybe if you find the person and that's what they enjoy talking about. I don't know. We're not saying a blanket statement, right?
It's it depends on the circumstance, how you met the person. If you met the person while you were, doing a campaign, right? Then maybe it is okay to talk about.
True. Yeah.
Because
you have a shared interest.
That's your shared interest, or I don't know.
Or you met at church, or you met, like a similar organization. It's probably going to come up.
Yeah, then that's fine, right? So you have to fill the room, but don't just bring it up just because you
out of the blue,
because that could lead to your date feeling uncomfortable.
Right. So let me ask you a question. So if, let's say, the date goes poorly, it doesn't go as you expect, and you always go into a date, I guess you hope it goes well. I guess you maybe manage your expectations, but you hope it goes well. But let's say it doesn't, right? It was just not a good date and you guys didn't connect. There was no chemistry. For whatever reason, or you found out, this person and we don't really have a lot of commonalities, or there's whatever reason.
Yeah.
How, from an etiquette standpoint, what do you do after the date?
Don't ghost them.
Are you talking to yourself? Is that your advice to yourself? Because clearly at the beginning, from what I remember, you did ghost somebody, but for good reason, I will admit.
Number one, please don't ghost them just because you're not enjoying the date.
Yeah.
But for safety, ghost them all you want.
So you give the okay on that if they feel unsafe.
Yeah. And
but if it wasn't like, if it was just something like you guys didn't mesh well, don't ghost them then.
Yeah. Don't ghost them. Just kindly thank them for the date and their time. And just
you're so polite.
And just end it, right? Like if they invite you for that after, that coffee after or that drink after, just politely decline and just end the night.
That's true. Don't lead them on. Especially if you know it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's true. And at least they have some closure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What if that person like texts you after the next day? Or
for another date?
Like you already said no to them. You politely declined like coming up for coffee or tea or whatever, right? Tea. And the next day they ask you on a second date. But I guess you would have been pretty clear. Do you think it would be rude for someone to try and ask again?
I mean, maybe they didn't get the memo. Which is fine. Maybe your message thanking them and declining whatever, it's not clear. That's okay.
They probably took it away. Oh, you thought it was a bad date. They were like, man, I nailed it. That was so awesome.
That was awesome.
Best date ever.
I think if they do message you for, a second date, I would text back, but
would you be pretty blunt?
Yeah, I think make the message a little clearer, compliment that, you had a great time, but...
What if you didn't have a good time?
Okay, fine. Or just thank them for the date, for being a gentleman, but, you just didn't feel the chemistry and you don't want to waste their time.
Wow. Good for you. But that's Linda speaking in today's maturity level.
Yeah.
If you were 18, I guarantee you wouldn't have sent a text. Dude, from now on, you're going to be known as the person that ghosts people.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you know what? I'm surprised. You never ghosted me, though. Actually, I'm not surprised because you had such a great time and you always had fun. So no surprises, actually. You're like rolling your eyes. Okay, we'll move on. How about that? But okay, well, that's good. If it went poorly, what if the date went well? What do you think is a good, I don't know if it's, again, etiquette, like, guys, like when we talk about etiquette, it's also, I hope you guys aren't getting the wrong idea and thinking like this is a business meeting. It's not a freaking business meeting either. I don't want it to sound like, oh, it's so professional. Let me write them a thank you letter and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I do think there's common courtesy, right? Like, if you had a good time, I think it's cool to let somebody know you had a good time. And
yeah, if you had a good time, I think. And who's gonna ask?
Maybe you take the initiative and you can ask them on a second date, or if you're that forward,
or just suggest, hey, like we should go here.
Hey, I
had fun, or let's say you were talking about like the art gallery, or whatever, or go-karting, or that was like your common interest. Maybe you can suggest, hey, maybe next time we can go-karting.
Yeah, something like it should, from an etiquette standpoint, maybe like it would be nice to just at least let the person know. Same thing, right? There's some level of closure because the other person might be wondering, I mean, why didn't I hear from this person? I thought it went well, but then I don't hear from them.
I think before the night ends, like a good, way to get that second date is to suggest something.
Yeah.
Right. And
you kind of have to lead. Yeah.
Yeah. Suggest something. Anyone can. If you notice that your date is not suggesting anything.
Yeah.
Just be the one to suggest, hey, do you want to go, wherever sometimes? And they'll be like, sure. And then you can ask, oh, so when are you available?
Right. And go from there. Or it could be like and depending on who paid for dinner, if your date paid for dinner this time around, maybe the next time you can offer that, right? Like, oh, I got dinner next time or whatever, if it went well and you want to actually go on the date.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that is one thing I forgot to ask you is, on the date, I know for our first date, I asked you out, so I paid for our date, even though you offered, right? What do you think is the proper etiquette there? Because I know some people, they expect their date to pay, and then I also know some people who get offended if the other person wants to pay for them. What's your stance on that?
When it comes to the bill, it's always very interesting. I think the person who asked the person to go on the date should pay for the date.
Okay.
But the person that got asked should offer as well. And but let's say if the person that asked you out on the date,
but they better mean it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't just ask because you think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but mean it, of course, right? Because going on dates can be very expensive. So, and maybe the other person is not in the financial state to pay for you, which is fair. And you shouldn't always expect like a free, meal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me that glare.
Yeah. I was just thinking because I'm like, what if like I can just see that happening? You're like, I know it's the polite thing to do, so I'll ask them, can I? I'll pay for half. Like, you don't really mean it. You're just hoping. You're like fake pulling your wallet out kind of thing.
No, be genuine, because if you do see yourself going somewhere with this relationship, or that's your intent, you don't want to start off the relationship already, being like manipulative or lying about or saying things you don't mean, right?
Yeah.
That's not. So if you're gonna offer to pay the bill, and if they
be
say
ready to pay the bill,
be ready to pay for the bill. Don't just say it just to say it. And I think it's okay to, if you asked me to split the bill, I would have been more than happy to split the bill.
Oh, you don't think that's rude? Like, what if on our first day, I was like, hey, do you mind splitting the check?
No, because I don't mind. I don't feel like it's fair, that the guy always has to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I can pay for myself. That's okay.
Would you have gotten offended if I guess in your case you didn't get offended when I was like, you know what, I got this?
No, I didn't get offended. It's fine, because then I told you, okay, fine, I'll get the second date, or if we go out for drinks, I'll pay for the drinks afterward.
Find a way, because you don't want to. I think people don't want to. I see why people might not like it when somebody pays for them, because they feel like they owe them something. You know what I mean? Especially on dates, it's like, but now, like, if things go poorly or if the date didn't go that well and they paid for my meal, I feel a little like I owe them something. Which you don't owe them anything.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it's fine. But let's say if the date is going bad and you know it too, I think it's nice to offer to pay for half the date, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's not going to really go anywhere.
Right. And I think with that, and you see it all the time, it's like at some point, it's also okay to let someone pay for it or take care of it. Don't start fist fighting with somebody
over the bill.
And I laugh about it because, we see it with like older generations, especially in Asian cultures, when they fight for the bill. It's hilarious. You got two uncles like about to go into a brawl. They're physically like pushing each other, like to try to grab the freaking bill and pull it back and forth. There's like a tug of war.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. I'm like, guys, it's fine. Just let that one person take care of it this time, and then just take care of it next time.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
That's what happened to you. Remember when we went to go visit my uncle?
No, I don't remember. What?
And you were trying to get the bill, and he ran after you. He literally grabbed you.
So we went to visit your uncle in NorCal.
Yeah.
And he was so nice. He was a great host.
Oh my God,
he was
amazing.
paying for almost everything, right? Like all the meals and stuff like that. I mean, he didn't pay for hotels and stuff, of course. Right? We didn't expect that. But like every time we went out for dinner or lunch or something, he was covering the bill for the whole family. I was like, wow, this guy's so generous. And obviously I felt a little uncomfortable because not that I felt like I owed him anything, but I felt like, hey, even though he's hosting us, like I feel like I want to do something nice for him too. So one of the dinners, the last dinner, I think, before, because I'm like, he never gave us a chance, right? He just took the bill.
I don't think it was the last dinner. I think it was like the last lunch.
The last lunch. Yeah. Okay. But either way, he would always beat us to taking the bill and paying for the meal before we could even have a chance to fight over it, right? So I thought I was slick
by going lunch. To the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then I was planning on just paying the bill first for the table so he wouldn't get a chance. Of course, I did that. I asked the waiter, oh, can you give me the bill when I get back to my seat? Because I did have to actually go to the bathroom. Came out of the bathroom and then they're like, oh, the bill's paid for already. Huh? What? Your uncle, I guess, ran over there while I was at in the bathroom and he paid for the bill.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this guy's good.
Yeah.
But my point with that is just sometimes be a little gracious with that. I should have just been like, all right, that's fine. We'll take care of him next time he comes down to visit us, right? The same way he hosted us, we'll have another opportunity, But I wasn't going to be like rude, and sometimes he might have taken that as rude too, right? Like if I was very insistent, even though he's hosting, he wants to feel like the host. He wants to take care of us.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So... okay. Is there anything else that you can think of from an etiquette standpoint?
From an etiquette standpoint.
Maybe just some takeaways, like what?
Yeah. I think if the first date went well, right? And you're planning for your second, third, fourth date, please don't wait 72 hours to respond to your...
Who came up with that?
I have no idea. Respond back, stay in good communication.
Yeah, but you gotta play a little hard to get, right? Like you can't just, if somebody texts you right away, you don't want to come off as like, you can
wait like an hour, but don't wait like 72 hours. Like
the 3-day rule.
Yeah, that's a little long because
yeah,
in 3 days the person could lose interest because they're like,
what the heck is going on? Yeah, right? Like what happened?
But you're gonna wait 3 days for every text I send you? That's a bit much.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with those rules, but there's.
I think it's good to write back. Get a conversation going.
Communication.
Yeah, and get to know each other a little better because the more you know each other, the funner the dates become.
Yeah. What I also realized through dating too is that, like, especially when I was younger and inexperienced, and I thought it was like everybody, I mean, you play a lot of games with each other. Like dating is like this whole dance, this whole game, and there's a little bit of flirtation to it as well. But like, sometimes some of the things we do, like you have to wait X amount of days to talk to somebody, especially if you like them. It's kind of silly to me now that I look at it. It's like, oh, who came up with that rule? Like, who says that that's what you're supposed to do? Or, just little things that we do. Even though you really like them, you got to pretend like you don't like them, and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little much.
I don't like.
But that's just us speaking, right? From our personal perspective.
I like people to be very straightforward with me. So little games like that don't work.
Some people like the games.
I get it. Some people like that chase.
It gives them exactly.
Yes, I mean each is their own, right? That's why nothing is set in stone.
Right.
This is just our perspective.
We're not telling you guys this is how you have to behave when you date. It's just what we enjoy.
Yeah, and I don't like playing little games. I like things that are very straightforward, direct. Don't waste my time.
Fair enough. At least you know what you like, right?
Yeah.
So it's easier for you to filter when you're in that dating process.
Yeah.
But I think the point of this, why we're even talking about it is just because I feel like although there's no like formal rules or any specific like golden rules or anything like that when it comes to dating, I think it's just our message is be a kind person, be like a decent human being, like treat other people how you would want to be treated, in all aspects of life, not just with dating. But I think especially when you talk about dating, there are certain things you probably want to be mindful of. And sometimes you do things you might not even be aware of that might be causing somebody to feel like, I don't know, uncomfortable, disrespected, or they don't want to spend any more time, and there's no second date, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I think. That's my takeaway. Anything else for you? No? Okay. Well, then I think that wraps things up. I laughed a lot in this one. Good times. So make sure to follow us on our Instagram and YouTube channel at Magnetic Mismatch. And of course, we're available on all audio platforms. And give us a 5-star rating and review if you enjoyed this episode.
And we release a new episode every Thursday. Make sure to please share our content with your family and friends. We would really appreciate that. And until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.